Welcome to Coaches Roundtable, and welcome our guest, Pittsburgh native and the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes football team, Kirk Ferentz. Coach, congratulations. You're headed into your 26th season. You are the longest tenured coach in Division I football. As active coaches, you're second in wins only to Mac Brown, North Carolina, and the winningest coach in Iowa football history. Congratulations. Those are great accomplishments.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm not sure how it happened, and I still remember coming out here in 1981. Coach Moore, Joe Moore, who was my high school coach, and I worked for at Pittsburgh, recommended me to Hayden Fry, and I'm not sure what Coach Moore said, but he talked Coach Fry into interviewing me, and that was it. So I had no idea what was about to unfold, and 40 plus years later, it's been a lot of fun, lot more good days than bad.
Well, you mentioned Joe Moore, and legendary. I was coaching at Oil City when he was head coach of McDowell. We got slaughtered in a game up there in Erie, and then my nephew played for him at Temple. He never talked about a coach had a greater impact on him than Joe Moore. And I want to bring that up about your background. Then you go to Pitt as a grad assistant under Jackie Sherrill. Then you go to Iowa and you coach under Hayden Fry with a staff that included outstanding coach Bill Snyder, the offensive coordinator. Barry Alvarez from Burgettstown went on to coach at Notre Dame and Wisconsin. Then you coach at the Cleveland Browns under Bill Belichick, and one of the assistants with you was Nick Saban. Taking that all together, Coach, how did that help mold you as the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes?
It's a great point, and I always make the comment. I've been really fortunate. I haven't had a lot of jobs in my career, but I've worked with really great people. You think about Coach Fry, unbelievable man, and probably the only guy. Iowa was in really bad shape when he got here in 1979, and I don't know if anybody else could have done what he did with this program. So he was outstanding. Certainly working with Coach Belichick, and then Coach Mark Chabrota, an Oil City guy, or Franklin, PA, I should say. Great man too. And but the other point, and you alluded to this, I've worked with great assistants as well. And Barry was one of those guys. Barry was the first guy I met when I came here in 1981. He picked me up at the airport. He was driving a green Chrysler K car, and he wouldn't be caught dead in that, the last 40 years. But back then, that's what he was driving. But so we became good friends, and along the way, just a lot of really good assistants. But and nobody's impacted my life and my career more than Coach Moore outside of my family. He really took me under his wing, especially in 1980 at Pitt. I basically spent every waking hour with him, and he just, anything I wanted to learn, I had that opportunity, and he treated me like a son. So he's really the person that impacted me the most and got me up and running.
Hey, Coach, let's look at last year. You were 10-4, a great run. 8 out of the last 9 years, you've averaged over 8 wins a season, a number 25 final ranking. You had the nation's 7th ranked total defense, just giving up 14.8 points a game also. You did struggle offensively, but you won 10 games. And here's what I know. You won a lot of close games, which is a testament to your fourth quarter coaching and game management. And you did lose your quarterback, Cade McNamara, in the 5th game of the year. I'm sure that had a great impact on you offensively.
Yeah, it did. Cade got hurt actually in our first preseason open practice, like our 10th practice last August. So we have not seen him healthy in an Iowa uniform, unfortunately. And we lost him, and we had 2 Eric Calls with the Bengals, NFL tight end Luke Lachey's back with us. So our 3 best players offensively were out early in the season for the season. And, I'll go back 20 plus years ago. And part of this is probably where I grew up and the people that I've been impacted by. We wanted to build this thing on defense right from the start, special teams and defense. And to me, that's, any sport, if you have defense, you've got a chance to be competitive. And offense comes and goes. And, you have seasons like last year where we really couldn't move the ball. Due to our personnel situation, but the defense played great. We had the best punter in the country, and we're able to find a way to get 10 wins. And it's really not unlike 81. We went to the Rose Bowl with Reggie Roby as our punter, a great defense, and really tried to minimize our turnovers. So growing up, you learn there's a lot of ways to win. And when you got a good offensive team, high octane, let it rip. But otherwise, try to be smart. And it's interesting. I think this is changing, but like at least when I was growing up, it was all about winning. Now it's more about entertainment, it seems. But we'll take the wins. That's all we're trying to do is find a way to be at the on the right side of the ledger at the end of the game. And there's a lot of different ways to do that in football. So it's a real credit to our players, everybody being adaptable to our situation. And I think we all realized last year, fully acknowledged what we were, who we were, and so let's find a way to be successful doing that. And the guys did a great job, and our staff did a great job.
So this year you have a new offensive coordinator in Tim Lester. What are you looking for, coaches? What have you worked on in your spring practice and so far in summer camp to redesign your offense?
Yeah, Tim's a great guy, and probably had serious conversation with three, I think, really good people, and all would have been great fits. One thing about Tim that was really attractive to me, he's been a head coach. He played quarterback, has a really good offensive mind, but also was a head coach at Western Michigan for quite some time, his alma mater, and was successful. So I think he's got an appreciation for the thing we just talked about, seeing the big picture. And it's not just about his stats, the offensive stats. Those are important. The defensive stats are important. Special team stats are important, but it's all about everybody working together. And, every game's a different puzzle, if you will. So, recognizing what kind of environment we're in game to game and what we need to do to be successful and, putting the team first, I guess is what I'm saying. And I think Tim certainly has an appreciation for that. Tim's coming out of the Green Bay system. He spent last year up there with those guys, and a lot of motion, a lot of shifting, kind of that Shanahan West Coast, offensive approach. But at the end of the day, it's still about blocking people and run the ball successfully, and then hopefully we can have a good passing game, create some things off the play action, but also have a good third down pass game on top of it. And I think Tim's got a really good mind, so we're confident about that.
Your defense looks to be strong again. You have a great defensive coordinator in Phil Parker. You have 7 starters back on defense, including all 3 of your linebackers, led by Jay Higgins. You look to be really strong defensively again, Coach.
Yeah, we got a lot of experience back, and it was a cool thing that we had last year. They got that COVID thing, and I guess we have a couple more guys next year. But anybody who's here during COVID had the opportunity to stay for an extra year, and we had 8 players choose to come back, and 6 of those guys are on defense. So it's probably as veteran of a defense as we've had. And I think we have the potential to be really good. Jay Higgins, can't say enough about him. He's the anti-modern era college football player. He was stuck behind a guy, Jack Campbell, first rounder with the Lions a year ago. Stuck behind him for a couple of years, so he learned from Jack. And then when he took over for Jack, did a great job. But he didn't run out of here, transfer somewhere else, all that stuff. He stayed here and waited his time. Played really well last year. He'll do it again this year. Sebastian Castro is a really outstanding safety. And he's kind of a typical Iowa guy. He really came alive, and he's always been a tough, hard-nosed guy. But in December of 22, getting ready for our bowl, things just started clicking for him, and he started playing faster. And he had a great year last year. He chose to come back. So we've got some guys that are really good players and good leaders. And so I think we have a chance there. And you mentioned Phil Parker. Phil's been here all 25 years, and since 2012 has been our coordinator. Has done a great job. So we've got a really good coaching staff, and the guys are together and working hard with our players.
Coach, on the final minute, what are your thoughts on the 12-team playoff expansion?
I'm actually for it, and I was against the 4-team thing. I didn't like that, and the reason being, to me over the last couple of years with the 4 teams, once all the playoff talk and attention started in mid-October, if you weren't in that discussion of the top 10, everything else was kind of secondary. And I think the beauty of college football, there's so many good stories in college football. It's not all about the teams in the top 5, but there's a lot of good things. I've been here, it's going year 26. And one of my fondest memories here was us working our way to 6-5 year 3 after being 1-10 our first year. We made it to 6-5. And I remember Coach Moore told me before the Alamo Bowl, he says, make sure you remind those players there's a big difference between 7-5 and 6-6. And that's a little thing, but it's a big thing. And with our team at that time, that really resonated. And, our guys played a great game against Texas Tech. Mike Leach was coaching. Cliff Kingsbury was a quarterback. Wes Welker, receiver. Bob Sanders made the last interception to end the game for Erie. And so we were 7-5, and it felt like winning the Super Bowl. So I guess that's my point. Like, that was a great moment in our history here, even though we were a 7-5 team. But I think that's the beauty of college football. And I would also suggest that propelled us the next year. We won the Big Ten. We were undefeated in Big Ten play the next year. But that all, really got traction the year before. So I'm excited to answer your question. I'm excited for expansion because at least now I think we have more people who are going to be in the discussion, more attention to more teams. And again, there's so many good things going on in college football. And let me just interject this too, a little commentary. I don't think any of us like this NIL stuff, the transfer portal. As a casual fan, you just like, what are we doing here? But I just wanted to let people know too, the quality of the guys we have. When you read about some players, you kind of like, what's going on here. It's such a small percentage. The guys we get to work with are first class. They're really good team guys, and they care about each other and they work hard. And there's so many good young people playing this game right now. And that's, I'm 60, just turned 69. Groin injuries, hamstring injuries might drive me out of the game, but what keeps you in the game are just the quality of the people, the coaches you work with, and most importantly, the players. Quality of the players it's outstanding.
Coach, wish you a great season. Hope you make the 12 playoff system. Look forward to watching Iowa football this year. Have a great year, Coach.
We got our fingers crossed. We're going to be trying. So appreciate you having me on, Ed. Thank you.
You're always welcome. I'll be right back with Al and George.
Zoom from Armstrong presents Home Pass Heroes. Jim wants to know where his kids are at all times.
What can I say? I'm a protective dad.
The Home Pass app, free with Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi, lets him set primary devices for everybody in the household or frequent guests. Now he gets an alert when his kids leave or his mother-in-law arrives. Be the hero of your network with Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi and the free Home Pass app. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami, George Abraham, to my left, the Tiger, Albert Campman. Guys, the interesting thing that Kirk Ferentz said of all the coaches that he coached under or played for, he's a grad assistant at Pitt under Jackie Sherrill, coached under Hayden Fry at Iowa with Bill Snyder. Never got credit for the great coach that he was. Barry Alvarez, another assistant there. Then he coaches under Ted Marchibroda at Baltimore, coaches under Bill Belichick at Cleveland. His assistant coach next to him was Nick Saban. But the one coach who made the biggest difference in his life is high school coach Joe Moore. You feel the same way about your coach.
Yeah. And
You too about yours at Altoona?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, this and Joe Moore's a legend. It's
great.
that simple. There are guys at Westminster, they just swear by everything he said or did because they love them that much.
Yes.
Well, at that stage of your life, you're really all in.
Impressionable.
For coaches.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the word. Impressionable. Well, Joe Moore, his success and his way of doing things was straightforward. There was no beat around the bush. Kirk Ferentz does the same thing. You watch Iowa play.
Yeah.
There's no frills. So everything he took is Joe Moore's style of doing things.
And my nephew played for him at Temple. When I said, how was Joe Moore? He said, the only time he raised his voice, got excited, is when you did the right thing. Other than that, it was all teaching, correction, and so he said, the best coach he ever played for.
I just read a book on Coach Radikovic from Steelers.
Yeah.
He's the number one guy.
Yeah.
Joe Moore.
They learned from each other. That was just great. Hey, let's go spotlight high school football. Mars traveled to Boone, Florida, and came away with a long road win, 47-35. The offense put up over 500 yards. Quarterback Luke Goodworth threw for 365 yards and 5 touchdowns. Wide receiver Gabe Hine. This kid's good. He's been on Spotlight
Before.
many times. He caught 9 for 330 yards and 3 TDs. Running back Eric Kasparovich Jr., 120 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And running back Amos Glenn ran for 157 yards to help Freeport beat Indiana 30-7. Now, let me go back to Mars. Their offensive line coach, Jake Cradle.
Oh, really?
Yes. Butler sophomore running back Jacob Collinger, he had 9 carries for 128 yards and a 20-14 loss to Shaler. Quarterback Alec Teff threw for 188, and receiver Preston Simcoe caught 9 for 102 yards. Karnes City routed Montauk 59-0, piling up 324 yards rushing. And how about this? Let's play 2. St. Francis Academy of Maryland sent 2 teams to Western Pennsylvania. Their so-called, I guess, number 1 team beat Central Catholic 44-16. Their offensive line average 6'4", 313 pounds. Their number 2 team or second team, they played NA and lost 22-20. They have no two teams.
This is the biggest joke I've ever heard in my life. That you have 2 teams that play the 2 best teams in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they play no conference schedule. They play a coast to coast like IMG Academy.
$72,000 to go to IMG, by the way. So
St. Francis probably.
So I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna find out how much it costs.
You look it up.
It's not a high school.
It's not a high school, right? Hey, let's go to college football. The weekend getting started with Georgia Tech stuns number 10 Florida State on the last second 44-yard field goal, 24-21. I'm gonna say this about Coach Brent Key. Man, this guy doesn't get enough credit. He took over as an interim coach. He's now 12-10, 7-6 last year. He's made them a tough, hard-nosed bunch. They are the Rambling Wreck under him.
And you should be like celebrating. They run the football.
Oh, I watched the game. I love the game.
Georgia Tech comes out and says, listen, we're going to run it. We're going to run it, and we're going to run it some more.
But they run a lot. They run the quarterback.
Yes.
I was watching some highlights of that game. They run the quarterback.
Oh,
and when he runs, he just looks like a powerful running back.
Yeah, they had them completely bamboozled.
Well, when you go out and he transferred to Georgia Tech from Texas A&M, I'm pretty sure. They said he couldn't throw the ball well at A&M. Well, A&M hasn't won anything. And Georgia Tech said, wait a minute, what he does great is
let's run
he
him.
runs
Yeah,
the ball.
exactly.
So let's run him.
And the other game I watched, but SMU was a 28-point favorite over Nevada and hung on for a 29-24 road win.
Hung on's the word.
Yeah.
And everybody's raving about SMU and the ACC. They better stop reading
Play
your
better
press.
than that.
Stop reading your press.
Well, the stats were one-sided, though.
Yeah.
About everything that could go wrong did. And the worst one was New Mexico, giving that game to Montana with a 3-touchdown lead.
Well, let me say this about SMU. It happened early. They won't be the same team later on.
Oh, no. Game 2, they won't be.
No.
Game 2, they won't be.
Hey, this week, Saturday, Pitt by 24 over Kent State. The Golden Flashes have lost 9 straight. Pitt unveiling their new offense. Penn State at West Virginia. Penn State
That's
favored by 8.5.
Ooh, that's a tough
You
one.
see the matchup at West Virginia, powerful running attack, number 3 in the country, versus Penn State's top-rated defensive line. This is a team last year that only gave up 75 yards a game rushing. So that'll be an interesting
How
match.
about that game? It was 21.5 at State College last year. It's 8 this year in Morgantown.
Both kickoffs at noon there with Pitt and Penn State.
Yeah.
College football, we were looking forward to it, haven't we?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's here.
Georgia by 14 over Clemson. Interesting thing about Clemson, their offense was pretty good last year. The one thing, Dabo doesn't take any portal transfers. I don't know how you survive this.
I root for him mightily, but I don't think you can do it. I mean, I'm a naysayer to it.
You're going to find out Saturday.
Find out.
Yeah, 2 touchdown underdog. They're one of those teams. Al and I talked about this the other day. Like last year, they had the 4 losses or whatever. They dominated statistically.
Yes,
they
they
just
did.
couldn't score in the red zone.
Here's an interesting game. Texas A&M by 2.5 over Notre Dame. It's at Cal Field in Texas. 104,000, one of the toughest venues to win at. And then Sunday.
Go to that A&M game.
Yeah.
The coach, new A&M coach.
Yeah.
Okay, coach the quarterback was at
Ronnie Leonard.
Yes.
And he was also at one time the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So interesting. Yes.
They're going to play defense.
Oh, yeah. They're going to play defense.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame's defense has been outstanding in the last 4 or 5 years.
We really like Notre Dame's team this year.
Yeah.
George and I love Notre Dame.
They could lose this one and run the table after, possibly.
Definitely.
Hey, Sunday, interesting game. LSU by 4.5 over USC. It's at Vegas in Allegiant Stadium. That's an interesting game.
I don't think you like playing USC early. I mean, they're always put up points like son of a gun early. We'll see if LSU can run with them.
You know what else, too? You're going to see more games like that now that there's a 12-team playoff.
Yes. And the 2024 college football landscape, the Power 4 conferences, the future, that's what I'm saying.
You call this one, Eddie?
Yeah, you're going to see a national college football conference of maybe 48 teams. Don't think this landscape is smoothed out and done. Let's just look, the Big Ten, 18 teams. They've added Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. The ACC, 17 teams, adding SMU, Stanford, and Cal. The SEC, 16 teams, adding Oklahoma and Texas. And the Big 12, 16 teams, adding Colorado and Utah. Now, the next big deal is the Big 12. You know, they're going to take in UConn for every sport but football. But they're rolling out the red carpet for Florida State and Clemson. That will be a dramatic shift in power rankings, TV revenue. It'll be a boost for the Power 12 if that happens, and a terrible blow for the ACC.
Well, it hits home. That's why, because it's Pitt.
Right.
You know, it hits right. It hits right in our area.
Yeah.
And Pitt has trouble drawing anyway.
Two things are coming. I was right. And the other thing, Florida State, you know, I'd like to see them win before they get out. Like this crying nonsense about how much better they are.
62-7 to Georgia.
Yeah, win some. And also, the other thing is with that, you talked about it before, you know, these teams, you know, I don't like it. They don't play everyone. So now you're going to have a championship game that's 1 and 2, but they don't play the same schedule.
Well, here, show me the money. Here's the team revenue from 2022-23 per conference. Big Ten per team, $60.5 million per team. Big Ten's number 1. Number 2, SEC, $51.3 million per team. Number 3, the ACC, $44.8 million per team. And a Big 12, almost in a tie, $44.2 million per team. Mm-hmm. But the number 1 money revenue team?
Notre Dame,
$76 million.
So
that's why they rule the roost.
Yeah.
That's why they won't.
It has nothing to do with how good or bad they are.
No, they're not jumping.
They're at Texas A&M. They have a series coming up with Alabama. You know,
why would they jump in the league? They're in the league. They're in the ACC, and what matters to them. Why would they be in there in football? They don't need them.
And that money's going to go out with the new deal.
And that's what they say immediately in their meeting. When somebody calls Notre Dame and says, wait, you need us. We don't need you.
No, they've proven it for 30 years.
They had the number 1 price ticket college football last year.
Yes.
Hey, guys, as college football starts, first full weekend, there are 2 distinct games to be played. One is the game on the field, which is getting better all the time. I want to focus on that. The other game is off the field, behind the scene, chasing the dollars.
Well, we just didn't say in a second. That's why Notre Dame is number 1, and it has nothing to do with they have not won a national championship. It isn't like
since
you know what I'm saying? Yes. Yeah. It isn't like they're the best team.
And the other thing too, you mentioned SMU. You kind of glossed over it. They're not taking any money.
Yeah, I didn't.
But think about that. Right. They have so much money. They said, just put us in. We don't want any TV money.
Yeah.
Now think, for 7 years, that's $250 million.
I just heard something I'll add to this. You'll laugh about it. They still came up $17 million ahead from the people that said, if you go to the league.
Oh, geez.
No, see, that's behind the scenes.
That's that oil cattle money.
They said, you'll still come out ahead. Go to the league, and we'll give you the money.
Hey, guys, it's just a matter of time before college football mirrors the NFL's corporate business model. They're this close.
Oh, that's what you said, the Big 12. They're getting spawned, like they're going to be the nationwide Big 12, or the Arby's Big 12,
right?
Yeah, that's what's next.
Yeah,
every stadium's named like this, aren't they?
They're already made.
You can't go to the stadium. What's the name of that stadium? What's the name of that stadium?
Acrisure.
They're going to have it like you're going to have teams they'll split them up into the 4 conferences.
It's
and
common.
Playoffs and
it's
1
common.
commissioner. It's there.
Yeah.
Hey, the NFL, thank God the preseason is over. Much ado about nothing.
Nothing,
the
zero.
Steelers go 0-3. Here's what drives me.
I think our producer Matt played defensive back in that one.
The first 2 games, the critics are going crazy. This thing. The third game, they score 17 points against Detroit. Russell Wilson was 2 for 2. They found their offense. They didn't find anything. Remember last year preseason?
I remember.
Pickett was
like Air Coryell,
and the Steelers were headed to the Super Bowl.
No, I had text messages coming to my house daily about they were great. After the first 2 games this year, I got the same people writing, man, they won't win a game this year. I try to tell them. Preseason means 0.
Nothing.
Detroit, the 1 year 6-0. Regular season record, 0-16. Now, what did we see to determine anything? And you have all these preseason practices and games to determine what 7 or 8 players or 9, if that many, are going to make your roster. So here's what I saw. This is me. The 2 best offensive linemen I thought were the rookies, center Zach Frazier and the offensive guard, Mason McCormick. They came off the ball low and hard. I like the way they played. The one concern against Buffalo is Broderick Jones, 6'6", 311. He got bulldozed. He stands up too high. He backpedals, gets off balance. That better be corrected. And the thoughts of moving him to left tackle, they better not do that too soon.
They'll get around him like he's not there.
Well, you definitely hit on the negative or positive of their season. It comes down to their offensive line.
Yeah.
And all the other things they talk about, receiver,
Right.
speed corner, if their offensive line does not come through, I don't care who plays quarterback. I don't care who plays running back.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Thank you.
Yes.
And defensively, Nick Herbig, the linebacker, and also rookie linebacker Peyton Wilson. Boy, they look good.
They're both great players.
Yes.
That's what hurts though, is that's the position they're overloaded. I mean, I wish they got two great outside
yeah.
linebackers.
How about
Well,
a D-back?
once again,
Trade a D-back.
Talking about money, $160 million for the defense, $65 million for the
It
offense.
tells you your priorities.
I still don't know who the slot receiver is, their number 2 receiver, or the starting slot corner defensive
They don't know
back.
either.
No, they're playing the waiting game today for the cuts for defensive back.
Hey, let's look at here's some multiple choice. Wilson is named the starter and starts all 17 games. B. Fields becomes the starter after 10 games. Tomlin names Fields and Wilson as co-starters. What do
Second
you
one,
think?
Fields will be starting somewhere during the season.
Okay, and then what if he has a big year?
I'm hoping
He's going to want $25
hoping.
million a year.
I'm hoping.
He's going to want at
They
least
have money.
20,
You need a
25
quarterback.
million.
25's cheap in that league.
Yeah.
You need a
Hey,
quarterback.
and let me say this about Mason Rudolph: 12-8-1 as a starter. When he took over last year, when they were 7-7, his percentage pass completion was 74%, best in the NFL, and his quarterback rating was 118. Why wouldn't you at least bring him back to be part of this?
Is he making a team, by the way?
Yeah, here's what
In
happened.
Tennessee.
Okay.
Well, what happened? They got rid of Willis today.
Oh,
So
did-
they're committing to him as
So
the
he is a
backup.
backup. Okay, hey guys, let's go to this new NFL kickoff rule, or the scrum, or the NFL tango. Is this the second worst rule change after baseball's extra innings started to second base? What are you seeing on the kickoff that makes any difference?
Well, here's when I look at it, I just don't grasp it.
What's the big deal about it?
Because I'm so used to seeing what football the
Yeah,
other way.
I think part of it's that.
You know, that is it.
Yeah.
For me. And second, the part I hate is not the kickoff so much, is the onside kick part of it. Where you have to announce, we're onside kicking.
Yeah,
Wait a
you
minute.
can't,
That's what a coach waits for the special time of a season.
And you
to say,
certainly don't
we
tell
watch
them.
the film, and you don't have to say, didn't they say fourth quarter too, George?
Fourth quarter.
Only fourth quarter?
Oh, you have to be behind.
I didn't have to be behind. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
But I heard them talking about, you're going to have these great returns. I watched a lot of games.
No returns. They're kicking the ball in the end zone.
Many guys just barely got past the 24-yard line.
Well, I think, Eddie, what's going on, they are learning also. But when push comes to shove, like Al said, they're going to punch it in and get it in the
They're
third.
kicking out of the end zone.
Yeah,
You
what's coming.
just get to the point where they're going to eliminate it altogether, probably.
I'd rather have that
and
than
do
what's
it.
going
Start
on
at
here.
30 and be done with it, like a
Yes.
scrimmage.
Yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to mention, that this preseason games, they're going to go by way
They're going.
of the Caribou, because they're going to go to 18.
Second time I clapped.
Then they're
today.
going to go to 20.
They don't need them.
They don't need them. Did they have them during COVID?
They don't
No.
need
Did
them.
they still have a Super Bowl? Yes.
College doesn't have them.
College doesn't have them, so the players don't want it. Like at Detroit, they didn't play any of their starters against the Steelers.
No.
Most teams don't.
Most teams don't. Hey, by the way, as we finish here, I want to let you know that we will be off during September, but there will be some great reruns. We will be back here in October, ready to pick up with all the sports going on at that time, local sports, high school, college, and of course the Steelers, and we'll see you then.